Welcome back to the Avatar series right here at Comicstorian, where we break down trade paperbacks into digestible bites, and then we read it dramatically back to you, bringing you an audio drama. I'm your narrator, Dan, and today we are bringing you part 3 to the Avatar comic, The Search. Lightning cracks from Azula's fingertips towards Zuko as he tries to defend Misu and Rafa. The lightning hits Zuko, but he redirects it into the sky. Zuko looks at his sister, yelling at her for her attack. "Misu and Rafa have nothing to do with our mother," he shouts at her. But Azula has that deranged look in her eyes again. "But that's exactly what she wants you to believe, Zuzu. How could you be so naive?" she cries. Zuko looks at his sister and sadness begins to appear in his eyes. "You're right. I have been naive," he tells her before turning to his friends. "Take her down." Katara and Sokka launch into their attacks, while Misu begs for them all to stop. "No, don't do this. The Avatar is trying to bring the Great Spirit here," she begs. "She's right. Stop," Aang tells them, suddenly returning from the Avatar state in the spirit world. Sokka breathes a sigh of relief. "Oh, it's just you, Aang. This forest is so creepy I half expected another creepy face," Sokka tells his friends. Aang smiles, pointing towards the pool of water as several creepy masks bob to the surface. Aang smiles, looking at his friends and telling them that they need to stop fighting. "We're about to have a visitor." The water begins to bubble gently, building in intensity. Suddenly, with a geyser of water, the Mother of Faces rises up. In the past, Ursa sits across from Norin at a noodle shop. She points out that his name is a strange coincidence, seeing how it's the name of one of the characters in the upcoming play. "Well, you may have a point there, Ursa," Norin tells her with a smile. Ursa is shocked, as she never introduced herself. She stands, not trusting Norin, and begins to leave, but the man begs her to stop, promising to explain. "When we were 6, you kicked me in the stomach and pushed my face in the dirt. When we were 21, you shattered my heart," he tells her. Ursa stops, turning back to the man, stunned and confused. "It can't be," she whispers. "And now you're going to walk away before we even get the chance for a proper conversation? My dear Ursa, don't you think you've hurt me enough?" Norin asks. Ursa smiles, tears in her eyes. "Ikem," she breathes. The Great Spirit stares down at the group that has gathered around one of her sacred pools. "I am the Mother of Faces. Through me, separateness came into the world. Through me came identity. The one became many. I walk through my forest once a season, but never have I strayed from the path my wolf chooses for me. I do so now in deference to the Avatar. Each season, I grant one favor to one human. You may make your request now," she tells them. Aang is confused. He turns back to both Zuko and Misu, who both have requests. "Just one?" he asks. Aang turns back to the Mother of Faces, explaining that they actually have 2 requests this season. "Do not test my generosity, young Avatar. 1, she tells him. Zuko nods, turning to look at Misu and Rafa. "They've waited for so long. If there's only one, it should be theirs," he tells Aang. He motions for Misu to step forward, but Azula isn't allowing it. She pushes Zuko and Misu aside, striding up to the Mother of Faces. "We seek a princess of the Fire Nation named Ursa. Tell me where to find her," she demands of the spirit. The Mother of Faces holds out her hand, displaying a shimmering image of Ursa. "Ursa, I remember her. I could not understand why a human of such beauty would ask for a new face," the spirit tells her. She explains that she offered her a plain face, and the image shifts to a face they recognize. "That's Noriko!" Zuko shouts, recognizing Norin's wife. Zuko turns back to where his sister stood. But she is gone. He begins to head through the forest, but Misu shouts for him, telling him that she knows a shortcut. "Thank you," he tells her. "You were kind to us," she nods, despite what happened. Zuko begins to run, but Sokka quickly catches up to him. I know sisters can be a pain to deal with, and mine's not even that crazy. You're gonna need backup, Sokka tells his friend. Thanks, Zuko smiles. In the clearing, Aang turns to Katara, pointing towards where their friends ran and telling her that they need to help. But Katara is still watching Misu, who is trying to slow the Mother of Faces with her waterbending. Don't leave us yet, I beg you, Misu shouts, explaining that they've searched years for her. Foolish human, you dare bend the water of my sacred pool, the Mother of Faces shouts. Aang steps forward, trying to explain that Misu didn't mean any disrespect, but the spirit disappears beneath the surface, bidding them farewell. No, wait! Aang shouts, diving into the waters after her. In the past, Norin escorts Ursa to the old prop warehouse. There, he explains that once she left, the people of the village looked at him like he was something broken. So he did what people do when they want to forget their misery. He went into Forgetful Valley. He tells her that he found the Great Spirit there and asked for a new life, a new face. I came back to Hira as a different person, he tells her. Ursa steps forward, putting her hand on his cheek and asking why he never married, never had any children. You know why, he tells her simply, sadly. He puts his hand on her shoulders, telling her that a new face will keep her safe from the Fire Nation. But she looks at him. There is so much of my life in the royal palace that I want to leave behind. But I am a mother now. I can't leave my children behind. But if I got a new face, maybe I could return to the capital city undetected. Maybe I could at least see my children again, make sure they're okay, she says, suddenly excited. Ikem looks at her, asking what she would do then. Would you stay in the city, hoping to catch a glimpse of them from time to time? Watch them grow from afar? What kind of life is that? He asks. Finally, she takes his hand, telling him to take her to the Forgetful Valley so she can meet this spirit. Aang dives deep into the pool as he creates an air bubble so that he can breathe, following the images of faces as he tries to explain to the Mother of Faces why she needs to help Misu and Rafa. But the creatures of the pool begin to attack Aang, trying to get rid of the intruder. Mother of Faces, how can you be so cruel? He shouts into the depths. There is a rumbling beneath him, and suddenly an underwater geyser shoots out. The force of the water shoots him back out of the pool, and luckily, Katara manages to catch him with her waterbending. Suddenly, the pool erupts once more, and the Mother of Faces stands before them again. Since the beginning of time, I've fashioned faces with great care and deliberation, with all my heart. In each face, I put a piece of my own being. But these humans trample into my forest to make demands of me as if I were their servant. They dare ask me to replace my precious gifts with new ones? Do you know how it feels to be told by insignificant beings that your work is inadequate? She demands of them. She leans down, telling the Avatar once a season is all the kindness she can tolerate. You, Avatar, are supposed to be the best of the humans. Yet you jump into my sacred pool and defile it with your presence. You scold me like a child. Avatar or not, you humans are the same. Selfish, short-sighted, insolent. Get out of my forest and take your friends with you, she demands, and the clearing grows dark around them as angry faces appear on the plants and animals. Ikem and Ursa went into the woods, traveling together. They made a shelter, learning to live off the land as they waited for the Great Spirit. Time passed, and they grew close once again. Then one day, they hear the Great Wolf drinking from the nearby pool. Ikem tells her that the Great Spirit is nearby, and that soon she will be able to see her children again. But Ursa only becomes sad. These last few months, living with you in the forest, I feel like I've finally found my place in the world, she tells him. Ikem nods, thinking that maybe they can bring her children to live with them in Hira. But she shakes her head. You don't know what Ozai is like. I wouldn't just be endangering my children and myself. I'd be endangering you and probably the whole town, she tells him. Ikem nods. turning to the pool as it begins to bubble, and the Mother of Faces appears, looking down at the bowing Ursa. "Human, what do you ask of me?" she questions. Ursa keeps her head bowed, requesting that the spirit give her a new face. The Mother of Faces holds out her hand, not understanding why Ursa would want to give up such a beautiful face. "Would you be willing to accept one much plainer than your own?" she asks, showing the image of Ursa's future face. "Any face will do, as long as it's new," Ursa tells her. The Mother of Faces leans back, regarding the small human. "Ursa, I sense much pain in you. Do you really believe that a new face will relieve you of this pain?" she asks. But Ursa knows that it won't, that her pain comes from a life she didn't choose for herself. "I can do more than give you just a new face. I can give you a new mind, one that doesn't remember the life that came before," the Mother of Faces offers. Ursa turns back to look at Ikem, asking if she'll remember him. "Is he a part of the life you wish to forget?" the Mother of Faces asks. "No, then you will remember him." "Will I remember my children?" Ursa asks, looking at the ground. "Are they a part of the life that you wish to forget?" the Mother asks once more. "Yes, then you will not remember them." Tears begin to well in Ursa's eyes, and the Mother tells her that she must decide. "Do you wish to have both a new face and a new mind?" the Mother asks once more. "Yes," Ursa tells her. The Mother of Faces tells her to hold on as she reaches down and places the new face onto Ursa. The spirit wraps her hands around Ursa's face. Glowing light begins to flow through her fingertips. Ikem rushes forward, and as the light fades, the Mother of Faces pulls away and vanishes beneath the waters of the pool. "Norin, where are you?" Noriko yells, her eyes not quite focusing. Norin pulls her in close. "I'm right here. I'll always be right here," he tells her. It wasn't long after that the village gathered for their wedding. Zuko and Sokka reach the village, quickly moving through the night until they are outside Norin and Noriko's house. "It's so quiet," Sokka points out, readying his boomerang. Zuko steps up, peering into the window to find the family eating dinner together. "Good thing Misu's shortcut worked," he whispered as they thought Azula had done something awful. Zuko rounds the corner, telling Sokka that he's going to go inside and asks his friend to watch out for Azula. After a gentle knock, Norin answers the door. "I had a feeling you'd return," Norin tells him. Kiyi runs towards Zuko, calling him her best friend and hugging him. She drags him inside, and the family invites the young man to eat dinner with them. The family laughs and enjoys each other's company, but Zuko can't help staring at the woman that he now knows to be his mother. Norin turns to the young man, asking him why he hasn't touched his food. "Do you do this every night?" Zuko asks. Noriko nods, explaining that they always eat dinner together. She looks at him, asking why he came back to the village. Zuko looks at the woman, silent for a moment before he finally asks her, "Tell me, Noriko, are you happy?" he asks. She smiles at him, motioning to her family. "Of course, I'm where I belong," she tells him. Zuko smiles at his mother's words and begins to stand. "I've bothered you folks enough. Have a good evening," he tells them. But Norin tells him to stop, turning back to Noriko and telling her that he knew this day would come eventually. "Go ahead, young man. Do what you came here to do. Tell her you haven't forgotten who you are," Norin tells Zuko. Zuko turns back. "My name is Zuko. I am the Lord of the Fire Nation, and I am your son." In the forest clearing, the spirit animals are surrounding Katara, Aang, Misu, and Rafa. Aang warns them not to harm the spirits as they begin to close in. The spirits keep shouting for them to get out, and Aang orders everyone to leave, but Misu refuses. "My brother and I aren't leaving this forest until we have what we came for," she shouts, looking at her brother once more. One of the spirits leaps at Misu, and Aang uses an air blast to knock it away. The gust of wind stirs Rafa's mask, knocking it from his head to reveal the smooth area where his face should be. Misu yells that Rafa needs his mask, but Aang stops her, telling them that he's seen this before. "When I met Ko, the face stealer. Quiet, the Mother of Faces orders the spirits as she holds up her hands. Repeat what you said, Avatar. Aang stands there telling the Mother of Faces of Ko, the face stealer, and the time that they met. He is my son, she explains. She tells them that Ko has been estranged from her and that legends say he misses her so much that he's spent all of history stealing faces. The mother reaches out, her hand engulfing Rafa's face. She can sense her son's handiwork, and her hand begins to glow. Finally, she pulls away and Misu rushes to her brother. Rafa looks up at her, his face returned. Hey sis, he smiles. Katara and Aang smile at the two siblings as they hug. Aang turns back to the Mother of Faces, thanking her for what she did, restoring the relationship between a brother and sister, and a mother and son. Standing before his mother, Zuko looks at her. Norin bows, telling Zuko that he had already recognized him as he had learned all he could about Ursa's children. He apologizes for lying to them, hoping that he could give them enough information to satisfy them while also protecting his family. He turns to Noriko, who still seems confused. You were once a princess of the Fire Nation. You had 2 children. One of them grew to become the Firelord. You don't remember any of this because a powerful spirit altered your memories, Norin explains. He turns back to Zuko, explaining that he also used to go by the name Ikem. Then, maybe this is where I belong too, Zuko says, sitting back down at the table. With my mother, my sister, and my father, he says, looking at Ikem. The man is shocked, explaining to Zuko that that's not possible. Suddenly, there is a loud crash outside, and sounds of fighting reach them as the rooftop explodes inwards. Azula lands, immediately spinning and kicking Zuko in the chest. She stands on the table, looking down at her mother. You! Finally! I can't tell you how long I've waited for this moment, she snarls at Noriko. Kiyi cowers with her father as Azula glares at them both. Tell me, mother, did you have a new daughter because your last one turned out to be such a monster? She asks. Sokka steps forward, telling her to stay back. Ha! Back for more, snow peasant? Where's your little toy? She asks, energy burning around her. Right there, Sokka points out, just as the boomerang cracks her in the back of the head. Sokka yells for everyone to scatter, making sure that Norin and Kiyi are safe. Azula struggles to her feet, leaping after the fleeing Noriko, who she pins to the wall. It all ends now, Azula hisses. Noriko reaches out her hand, touching Azula's cheek. If what you say is true, if I really am your mother, then I'm sorry I didn't love you enough, she whispers. Azula is stunned, tears in her eyes as she pauses. Zuko steps in, pushing his sister away. She lashes out at him, but he dodges her electric attack and sweeps a flaming kick at her. Azula leaps in, lashing out with punches and kicks, but Zuko dodges them, letting her strikes hit the wall. Oh, for crying out loud, stop moving, she snaps as she attacks again, sending a lightning strike at him. But Zuko redirects it, sending it back at her and slamming her into the wall. On the ground, she tries to plead with her brother. Don't you get it, Suzu? We'll finally be free. You of the throne and me of this incessant nagging in my head, she shouts at him. Zuko tells her that she is wrong, but Azula holds up the letter. She knows that he doesn't want the throne anymore, but Zuko is quiet, pulling free his crown. In my heart, I've always known that the throne is my destiny, he tells her. He looks at Azula, telling her that no matter how messed up their relationship is, she will always be his sister. Shut up! She bellows, launching another flurry of attacks. She rushes past him, running out into the night, and both Zuko and Noriko follow after her as Azula heads for the edge of the woods. But they can't catch up with her, and she disappears into the Forgotten Valley. Firelord, look! Noriko shouts, pointing as the Mother of Faces comes out of the valley, with Appa close by. Human, do you wish to return to who you once were? Do you wish to remember? The mother asks, looking down at Noriko. Zuko tries to stop her, telling her that she has such a happy life, but Noriko nods her head. Yes, she whispers, and the spirit reaches out her hand. The next day, Zuko and Ursa stand in the yard of their home. He looks over at Norin and Ki, telling his mother that she should go to them. No, you and I need to talk, she tells him. Zuko, what I said to Azula, I owe you the same apology. I'm sorry I didn't love you enough, she tells him, apologizing for choosing to forget him. But Zuko smiles, telling her that everything turned out okay. I've got some good friends now and a life I can be proud of, he tells her. She smiles at him, proud of the Firelord he has become. But Zuko reaches into his pocket, pulling out the letter that she had long ago written to Ikem. I know I'm the Firelord because it's my destiny. Even so, Mother, I need to know more about this, he tells her, handing the letter to her. Ursa nods, looking down at the words she had written, and she tells him that those words weren't true. It was long ago that Ozai told her what he did to Ikem for her treachery, and Ursa reaches out to slap the man, but he catches her hand. Ozai, you know as well as I do that Zuko is your son, she shouts. Ozai knows. He had his men following her for months before the wedding. He demands to know why she wrote the lie, and tears begin to fill Ursa's eyes. Maybe I wanted to see if you were reading my personal letters. Maybe I wanted to hurt you, even for a moment, she hisses at him. And she begins to cry, telling Ozai that maybe it was her wishful thinking, that Zuko would turn out nothing like Ozai. And the prince smiles at her. Then that's how I'll treat him, dear. I want you to watch carefully from now on. Every time I speak harshly to him, every time I wound him, every time that I treat Zuko as if he were the son of a treacherous dog, I will simply be fulfilling his mother's wish. Zuko is shocked by this story. Ozai is a wretched man. To treat you like that just to get back at me, especially when you were so young, she tells him. Zuko looks down at the letter. But he's still my father, he whispers. Yes, she nods. She looks down, telling him that there is so much that she wants to tell him about her life before Ozai and now. And he smiles at his mother. I want to know everything, from the beginning, he tells her. She takes his arm, beginning to lead him through the village. For you, my dear, I'll start from the beginning. And that, my dear listeners, is the conclusion to the search for Zuko's mother. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and if you did, please be sure to give it a like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. And be sure to hit that bell icon for notifications, and join us next time with Avatar: The Rift, Part 1. And if you want to find more of me, Dan, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at DanTProducer, or on Twitch at Cyloo91, that's CYLOO91. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you next time.